Welcome to the 109th episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we'll be breaking down anime that aired during the 9th week of the summer 2019 season. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we spoil literally everything. My name is Leo, and I'm so excited to tell you guys all about Destiny 2 Shadowkeep. But the servers didn't work and I couldn't play. I'm refunding the game and I'm dedicating my gamer passion to playing Untitled Goose Game from now on. Also with me are Bcom and Kat.
Hey.
Yeah,
I'm
Kat,
Bcom.
the opening day, which was just yesterday for us, is a record for Destiny 2. So the game went offline for 24 hours and then they came back online and it was just a fucking shit show with the servers. They could not handle the load. Mm-hmm. And like people kept getting stuck, like you get stuck in a queue to get in because they're like, can only let so many people in through the door at once. And then even then, sometimes you get kicked out of the queue, or then when you finally get in, the loading times are awful. Dude, I'd be going to areas and it's like trying to connect Destiny 2 servers, I think I played for an hour and a half very, very slowly because of the load times. Mm-hmm. And at one point, I got fucking kicked completely out of the game to the title screen. I was like, what the fuck? So I messaged in the clan chat and it happened to everybody. And then when I talked to my buddy later today, I guess like they just went down like really hard after that for a couple more hours.
You want to know something really hilarious, Leo?
What?
So I was supposed to be studying for a fucking exam yesterday, but I was like, I'm going to take a break.
Yeah, I saw you on there.
Yeah, because like I've always been on like the first hour of a Destiny expansion, like pretty much every time. So I wanted to keep that streak going and see what it was like. And so I get on, and yeah, I'm having all sorts of server problems. Like I can't get to the tower. Like it keeps kicking me every time I go to the tower, except when I go to the annex landing of the tower. Then I could get into the tower. It was so weird. And so like I keep trying to do that, and I'm progressing. I'm doing missions, and I pull up an iPad and I have like King Gathalion's stream on there. You know, he's got like 12,000 people watching him play Destiny on PC.
Yeah,
and he gets kicked just like you. And I'm sitting there, I'm waiting, I'm on my Xbox, and I swear every 5 seconds there is like contacting Destiny 2 servers on the bottom right, but I'm still playing. And I'm still playing. I play for like an hour while God is like sitting there with 12,000 people watching him not play Destiny, and I'm playing Destiny because I'm on Xbox.
The thing was, you never traveled to a different planet, did you?
I didn't go anywhere except for the moon and the tower.
Exactly. So Mr. Fruit, another big streamer, was able to keep streaming because he never traveled. He took a sparrow everywhere and stayed on the moon the whole time, so he never got kicked.
Yeah, I was pretty much on the moon the whole time when I was doing that. Yeah,
that's how I knew you were. I was like, you never left the moon or wherever you were, did you?
Well, all the stuff I needed to do was on the moon pretty much. So like, yeah, I was just laughing my ass off because all these huge Destiny streamers were just like sitting around with like number 6,500 in the queue, and I'm just playing like, I just leveled up past Gathalion. Too bad for him.
Yeah, I did see an interesting number today. Apparently 15 million people played yesterday.
Holy crap.
Yeah. It's a big game, Kat.
Yeah, and people were like waiting to come back to it for a while, and they were like, this is the time to come back.
It is the time to come back. And actually, Kat, everything's free up to the Forsaken DLC. So like, even if you wanted to play it, you can jump in and play it right now for free.
Yeah. Which like is a significant like portion of the game for free, which is pretty awesome.
That's actually a massive amount of content they're giving away for free.
Yeah.
That is a lot, yeah.
My first thoughts on the Shadowkeep stuff, it's basically a way of recycling a lot of nostalgic stuff from Destiny, like from earlier Destiny.
I love it though, because the location's slightly like updated, it's changed a little bit. They've added extra areas, or then you go through old areas and you're like, I remember all this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there's been some fights where I'm like, oh god, I can't remember. The last time I was here was like years ago, but I remember it like yesterday. So that the nostalgia factor is there. I think some of the new guns have been really good. I like the whole like how they've like separated quests out into its like own tab, and they're all organized.
The quests between like their dailies and stuff, yes, that is very nice.
What power level are you up to now, Leo?
I just got off. I was 787, maybe.
That's pretty good.
785.
I'm 880.
Damn, you.
I played a lot today, but yeah.
I barely played yesterday, and I played like an hour just now before we recorded. So like, I'm not done. I finished the first time you do the new strike. That's it.
Yeah, it goes really fast because the stuff that you do on the moon, as long as you like, you know what you're doing with like leveling stuff up, like you know.
Yeah.
You don't. I haven't done any powerful gear stuff at all yet. I've just been doing like the missions that they give me, and it drops tons of stuff, and you really progress through the 800 levels.
You
really
don't
fast.
worry about powerful gear until you're like super close to maxing out your character again.
So yeah, I mean, I'm having fun with it. It's early, and I'm sure we'll have more like significant thoughts like next week or whatever our next podcast. So yeah. Kat, did you have anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so this week, let's see. I started watching The Boys on Amazon Premium Prime streaming or whatever.
Oh right, yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's just like like if superheroes were like Hollywood stars or something. You're just like, oh, okay.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about now.
Yeah. I've heard of that. I saw the preview for it at least. Yeah.
It's pretty good. I'd recommend it.
Cool.
It's a little depressing though. Because I'd be watching it and being like, but surely there's like good in these people. Because I'm used to being like, even if they're a villain, there's good in them.
They're like politicians. They're all corrupt.
Yeah, you're like, no! Oh, it's so frustrating. Went to a friend's birthday party. It was fun.
That's fun.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, bought a new collar for my cat that now I have to remember to take off every time we record.
Get it one
jingly thing.
Yeah, jingly thing.
Yeah, but it's so pretty. But I didn't think about that part of it. And then I coughed so hard because I'm still getting over that cold that I like fucked my back up somehow, and now
Ouch.
I have to be on muscle relaxers because I'm so tense apparently, and like my back is spasming, so I feel fucking old.
Ugh, that sucks.
Maybe you should see a massage therapist.
Oh yeah.
No, maybe Leo, you work for free.
I would be more than glad to do trades.
Oh, all right.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. What could this possibly consist of? One other thing I did, I went into the city, New York City, earlier last week. When the hell was this? Last weekend, I guess. And I went to this like cookie place, this bakery called Levain Bakery on the Upper West Side. And they are really well known for their cookies. Like there was like a short line outside, even though it was like at the middle of the day. And freaking got like their chocolate chip and walnut cookie and their oatmeal raisin cookie. And I like both of them a lot because they're like big and like kind of big and thick cookies. And then so like when you crack them open, they're still like a little bit gooey on the inside. And it's so good. Holy crap. This place was amazing. And yeah, it was fun. I had like a big like food day around New York and just like walked like 6 miles, so I didn't feel guilty about it. It was good.
Yeah, nice.
I also played another game, but I think I'll save that for next podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, we should get into anime. Let's do that.
All right. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift? Speaking of not feeling guilty about eating too much food and back muscles, episode 9, have you seen God before? So we jump straight into training the back muscles. The show's even like, isn't the pace a little sped up already? What the hell? The show likes to break the fourth wall every once in a while, and I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So some of the training with back muscles you can do is like using the seated rowing machine. This machine does a really good job just hitting a ton of the back and shoulder muscles. Even hits the triceps because of how you curl your arm. And if you don't have equipment, he suggests that you do back extensions, which is just basically laying down on the ground face first, and then you just like basically arch your back and bring your arms and your feet up in the air. So while Machio just shows off his muscles in the background, Ayaka and Satomi talk about that it's rumored that Machio studied sports nutrition abroad, specifically in America. And then suddenly Machio's pecs start reacting to something. Kind of like how in some anime people can feel or read other characters' power levels.
It reminded me of in Mean Girls with the blonde girl who's like her breasts can feel when it is raining, not when it's about to rain, when it is raining. Sorry. Anyway.
So what his pecs are reacting to is none other than Barnold Schwarzenegger, who has arrived at the gym. His macho power is so big that like the other macho guys are like cowering before him like he's a god. And so I don't know how much they've talked about how much Ayaka and Hibiki are huge like action film nerds, like super big. It comes on and off in the manga.
Oh, okay.
And so they see him and they just high praise for him. They're like, "Oh my god, it's you!" And like nobody else knows who they're talking about. They're like, "I've never heard of this Barnold."
And it's like, oh, crushed. Like, no.
Yeah, like aren't they both like hanging off his biceps? It's funny.
And Satomi's like, "Oh, aren't you the guy who's from that like Terminator movie?" And they're like, No, that's not him. That's a different guy." I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" It was funny.
So it turns out Barnold was Machio's bodybuilding coach back in the States, and he's arrived to see how Machio's utilized his knowledge of bodybuilding. He then throws Machio some hand grips, and it prompts the girls to talk about how they use them, and then very blatantly suggests women will not be able to open jars in the kitchen.
It's like, yeah, they tell like the guys like, "Oh, hand grips are so beneficial for your arms and your beefy forehands and forearms," and then the women, you're just like an open jars.
Yeah, so interesting. Hand grips are something it's good for rock climbing, but instead of using it the way they did, how a rock climber use it is we would hold it closed for basically 20 seconds or whatever you're working for, because that's how you use that muscle when you rock climb.
I will say having a strong hand grip is not great all of the time. One of my best friends, she works in construction. Her hand grip is very strong. And she's just been trying to wash dishes in the sink before and has like grabbed it too hard and just shattered it. Like, and then she'll be like, "Fuck!" And then she's will be upset, and it's like a whole thing. And I'm just like, don't hurt it, Anna. Don't hurt yourself.
I can attest to that. I've never shattered a glass, but I've come close. There's been points where like I went to open jars, and I was gripping so hard, I was sometimes afraid I would break the top and not be able to use like full pressure. But I have like broken other stuff by accident, but not too bad.
Everybody, like even I have big fucking strong hands, and like there are jars I can't open sometimes because they're just like vacuum sealed shut.
That's when you got to bang them on the edge of the counter and try to get them to loosen up.
Well, even better than that, there's like I have like this little thing that my mom used to have, and I like stole it from her. I don't know what she uses now. I think she has another one, but it's just like a little handle that has like a brace that like closes around the jar, and then like it just gives you that much extra leverage that you can like easily open any jar with it if it's like being a little bitch about it. So yeah, like sometimes like a towel will work, but then like there's times when that won't, and this thing is perfect for that. I don't know what it's called. I just assume it's like a jar opener or something.
Have more
it's good
grip
for an
on the
office
lid.
worker who doesn't get that kind of, you know.
Yeah.
He's just a little extra grip. Like, sometimes you don't want to go overboard, or you'll end up like my friend Anna, who can't wash dishes and her boyfriend has to wash them for her.
Well, her boyfriend is probably living in fear when they're doing other things. Like, holy shit.
I feel like I'm getting manhandled. So the hand grips Machio was given have the third most resistance in the world, and he is to prove himself. He easily closes the hand grips and like even just crushes them. So like they were nothing to him. Barnold is impressed and says he's hosting a bodybuilding tournament tomorrow, and Machio is to enter and show his muscles to the world. The girls like arrived to the event, and I like that they like all had like an outfit change.
Okay, I want to point out that they brought up that there had just been a bodybuilding competition in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
And that Arnold had hosted. So like I got one of my friends who is really into bodybuilding, and he like goes to these competitions sometimes and competes.
Oh cool.
So I was like, you're gonna watch this fucking episode of the show. You're gonna tell me what you think of it and how it is compared to reality.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I sat him down and forced him to watch. And he says that the reason they did that is because there actually is a really famous bodybuilding competition in Las Vegas called the Arnold Classic.
Oh.
So it's one of the bigger ones. So that's what they're referencing there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, the girls get to the event. They all have like different casual clothes on. I thought that was just it's really, I like when anime does that because a lot of times everybody just, has like the set, like 2, sometimes 3 clothes they're ever in. Which is, one is always a school uniform. The other one's pajamas. And the third one's fucking like some casual wear.
Yep.
They're having trouble finding the seats. The place is completely packed, but no worries. Barnold shows up and lets them ride his muscles to the VIP seats he has reserved for them. Like literally, he's got one on each bicep as he like holds his arms up in the air, and there's just like one riding on his neck. It's funny to me. So we get a bodybuilding lesson. So there's kind of 2 different classes. There's physique and bodybuilding, and they have different judging criteria. Physique are generally smaller, and they take into account like the face and hair and even like the style of their trunks. And I guess the lower body isn't considered as much, so it's sometimes underdeveloped. Mm-hmm. And bodybuilding is more about striking poses and showing off the muscle mass. It's not entirely based off the muscle size. It's more about muscular balance and perfecting the poses. Yep. Things I did not really know about bodybuilding.
So apparently like it's similar to what they describe here, but it's like a little different because there's usually 3 stages, and they didn't show the middle stage very much. Where like, I guess there's a prejudging stage like they showed where they get rid of all the people who are like, "Bleh, these people aren't shit. Get out."
Yeah.
And then they have they call it the routine portion, which is like, it's almost like they do a dance, but like with Tai Chi pose movements. So like they're posing, but like in slow motion to a dance.
Gotcha.
And it almost looks like a dance. Yeah, no, I'm gonna post some pictures of different like videos of different routines. Some of them are pretty awesome.
Oh, cool.
Because they all have like their own song, kind of like a, when you would do a choreographed dance or whatever. That's interesting. And then the final is again a pose off, like they showed.
Right.
So.
Eventually, Machio has to take the stage, and when he takes the stage, they say that everybody there that day felt the presence of a god. And when he flexes, it causes everybody to imagine that their clothes are flying off. And like even the other contestants, even they bow to him and admit defeat. Like he's just so overwhelming.
This just I thought I was watching an episode of Food Wars for a second with everybody's clothes flying off all over the place.
Shokugeki no Soma, yeah.
Yeah.
It all turns out that the competition was a test for Machio. Barnold also says he has trained so many pupils because he needs people to be able to compete on his level. And the final showdown will be in Las Vegas against him. But Machio has to decline because he has to take care of a gym. And it comes first.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, Barnold ordered his secretary, Jason Scatham, to stay behind and help out Machio's muscle training.
They did Jason Statham kind of dirty in this. He's like bald. Well, I guess he's bald in real life,
yeah,
but he's like weirder looking than Jason Statham looks better than this guy.
He looks like the other Machio guys, but he gets like a scar on his face.
Yeah,
it's like his redeeming thing that shows him different than the other guys.
I wonder, they've got to be dubbing this, right? I wonder if they're going to do like a British Jason Statham accent for that guy. That'd be so good.
Oh, I mean, it's Funimation. They probably are.
Yeah, they'll probably do something. Yeah, they'll have fun with it.
They already are not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to check in on that.
Once I found out I could change my options to always be in Japanese, I've never listened to them in English anymore.
Yeah. It's good to go back sometimes and just see, like, how did they do it? Because this is a show that could be really good English dubbed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a show out there that has a severe lack of buff people in it.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's full of maidens.
What about Jujo, though? She's pretty buff.
Jujo?
The blonde. She's like friends with
she's buff?
I don't know. She looks like she's like packing some abs underneath all that. Episode 9, The Orange Fox's Lilies. So Kazusa is completely head over heels in love with Izumi
Yeah,
now.
I watched this and I was like, Kazusa needs to tone the fuck down in this opening.
It's
Jesus
so
Christ, girl.
She's even more overjoyed when Nina tells her, yeah, enjoy your romance, which would lead you to believe that Nina's like not going to interfere anymore, but we know that's not happening. Everything seems cuter. Everything smells better. And oh my god, she's just so in love, guys. What could possibly go wrong?
Everything! Every fucking thing! Oh my god. I was like, oh girl, oh no.
So, in the club room, the girls call out Rika for, like, betraying them and falling in love with a boy when she was, like, totally against it. She was, like, the most against it.
That's awesome.
But she's like, oh, I fell victim to love because I didn't know that boys were actually, like, sensitive.
Oh, God.
What, Kat? Guys, some guys are sensitive. What are you saying?
Guys are not... Okay, they are sensitive, but then they don't want to talk about their damn feelings, and so then they act like drama queens. They're worse than girls sometimes. At least girls will tell you why they're upset.
Ooh,
guys
will
just
they,
be
though?
Like, I'm not upset.
No. I don't know about
that.
Some girls won't do that either.
But, like, guys will pretend that they don't even have the emotion. Girl, oh my god. And I'm just like, listen, I know you do, so don't be a bitch. Like,
yeah, like,
let's fight about it or not.
Yeah, like, it took a lot for Rika to pull out of Shun that, like, he was being distant with her because he was kind of hurt by the fact that, like, it seemed that she didn't want to be with him. And she was, like, not, like, you know, acting like his girlfriend, basically. And so they had to...
all he had to do was say that.
True.
I feel like in all our relationships, I'm the dude. I'm the one who's like, just say what you mean.
But also, she was, like, doing that stupid thing where she's like, oh, I have to wait until the festival to make anything happen. So I don't know if it will work. They were both being kind of dumb.
Yeah, they were.
And she, like, grilled him about that girl she saw him flirting with, and he's like, I don't even remember that. Which is bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit.
But he's like, yeah, the only thing I remember, or the only girl I remember things about is you, which is a good line. But I think he actually believes it, I think. Enrica's like, this kind of stupidity is what makes boys cute. They're humans just like us. And they're like, you're the only one who didn't think they were humans in the first place, Rika.
That was funny.
Yeah, I liked that. So yeah, Yamagishi, the teacher, tells Hitoha that it seems like Rika and Kazusa are winning right now because they feel like they've found this secret truth by discovering love. But he feels that, like, especially when it comes to literature, the stuff that's written by people who are, like, losing or, like, in a bad place is often, like, way more interesting, which I think is true.
Yeah, the sadness sometimes is more attractive.
And just, like, he feels like the people who are winning are overlooking a lot of things, whereas, like, the people on the outside looking in see more. And so Hitoha thinks to herself, well, in that case, I should be able to write something incredible right now, because holy fuck am I losing. She also asks Yamagishi if he's in love with the teacher, Emi Tomita. And his reaction obviously gives it all away. He obviously is. And Hitoha kind of responds by calling her a whale. And Yamagishi gets angry, saying that high school girls worship skin and bone thinness, and a girl with little meat on her bones is way more attractive to him. So Momoko confronts Nina because she overheard her saying that she would let herself obsess over Izumi. And Nina confirms, like, I'm gonna go after him, but just not yet. And Momoko's like, well, you're gonna lose us as friends. And she's like, I know. And she's like, I can't have sex with my friends, Momoko. Which, okay, Nina, calm down.
This is what I call the crazy bitch stage of love.
Yeah, right.
Well, when she said that, I was like, oh, you can't.
Well, I just am saying, I've seen so many people do dumb things when they get to this weird stage and they just...
Mm-hmm. Just, like, yeah, break off all the relationships because of some stupid idea they have.
Yeah, or act irrationally, and they'll even know it's irrational, and they're doing it anyway, and you're just like, oh...
You get swept up in it sometimes.
Yeah.
Kazusa accepts Izumi's invitation to come over his place, but before they both realize it, like, the vibe and expectations they have of each other now that they're boyfriend and girlfriend are way different. Especially Izumi, he realizes he's in a very awkward situation right now because he doesn't want to do things with Kazusa too soon, but at the same time, he also told her that he doesn't think about her sexually at all, because he was trying to cover for himself last time. And so, like, if he doesn't try to do something, she might get upset. So in the end, they just, like, sit on the couch next to each other, awkwardly hold hands, and just, like, nervously think about how sweaty their hands are.
You gotta figure this shit out somehow, so.
Yeah, like, eventually it'll just happen. But yeah, they're really not figuring it out. There's this brief scene where Saigusa, the pedo guy, calls Nina to tell her that he has, like, a book he wants her to read. It turns out to be The Little Prince, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But Momoko starts taking her frustration out on Kazusa because she knows that Nina and her are headed for a collision that could break up, like, all of their friendships. And so Momoko's just kind of, like, saying, like, well, are you sure you, like, want to be friends with Nina? Are you sure you're going to, like, go out with Izumi? Blah, 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 all this stuff. And she's like, she goes home because she doesn't know how to deal with this.
I think she's doing that because Momoko obviously loves Nina, so it's harder for her to be angry at Nina.
I think that's true, too, yeah. She doesn't want their whole, like, friend group to break up because that would be really awkward for her, too.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, that's why I think she's trying to bug Kazusa more than she's bugging Nina. Because, like, she kind of knows at this point Nina is being the rational one. Mm-hmm. But she also finds it hard to blame Nina or be angry at Nina because she's in love with Nina.
Oh, yeah.
So she's taking it out on someone who maybe doesn't need to be taken out on.
Speaking of acting rationally, Nina sees Izumi in the hall, who is confused about what to do with Kazusa, and she invites him to ride the train with her so she can give him some advice. We'll get to it in a second. There's a couple scenes before that, but yeah. Hitaha fucking blackmails Yamagishi, saying she's gonna write a tell-all expose about what's been going down between them, and he's like, well, legally, I didn't touch you, I didn't do anything, blah, 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 I'm in the clear. But she's smartly is like, well, what would little Miss Fat-Ass Teacher think about all this?
Legally, I'm pretty sure he'd still be fired, even if he hadn't touched her.
Probably.
So.
And so he's like, all right, what do you want to not talk about this? And Hitaha tells him, I just want to sleep with you once, and I'll give up on you. And he's like, fine, meet me in the parking lot at 7 o'clock. And she's
at the
like,
park at 7.
Oh, at the park at 7. Yeah, not at school. Yeah. Also, so there's a scene where Jujo asks Rika to find her a book in the library, which ends up being Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's The Little Prince. And ironically, this is also the book that Saigusa gave to Nina. And she's reading it to Izumi on the train. And they're discussing the part of the story where the prince finds out that the rose that he'd taken care of on, like, his lonely planet and all, when he returns to Earth, there's, like, millions of roses just like it, and so he feels like it's not special anymore. But this fox comes up and reassures him that it is still special because of the relationship he built with it. And so Izumi tells her that, oh, Nina, you're the fox in this story, I guess. Because Nina's like, you and Kazusa are like the prince and the rose. And so Saigusa had told Nina the same thing, that she was like the fox, and that, like, giving the prince advice only, like, pushed him further away because it made him realize how much he loves the rose. And Nina's like, oh, okay, what happened to the fox in that story? And he's like, oh, nothing. That's what happens to the people who aren't the chosen ones. And so she decides to act. She does it in a real skeezy way. They're trained.
So she's playing so dirty.
Yeah.
Well, it's Nina.
Yeah, their train fills up with passengers from a concert, and Nina, like, does her thing where she texts. Like, she did this earlier in the series where she texted Kazusa to, like, come across the street and, like, help her out with that guy. So she texts Izumi and says, like, this guy behind me is groping my butt. So could you put your hand back there to, like, block it? Before he can even, like, do it himself, she, like, grabs his hand and, like, puts it on her ass. Mm-hmm. And of course, he's very weirded
Cat, you
out
go,
/ turned on.
Like, this is a tactic you've used or something.
Okay, I will say that guys like it when you ask them for help. It is a tactic that many women use. It's dumb, and it's dumb that it works.
It's dumb and it's effective.
Yes, it's dumb that you're like, a girl asked me for help? Oh my gosh, my eyes are blinded. And I'm just like, what? So all you want is people dependent on you? I don't know.
All we want to do is be useful, Cat. That's all we want.
What it is, you're useful, and then you're like, oh, they trust me to some degree for some reason, so surely they like me a little too. That's how the thought process goes.
Yeah. This was a weird situation, though. Like, to do it, like, groping thing, like, that's kind of fucked. But, yeah, whatever.
Well, I just kept thinking that she always chooses the train to hit on Izumi because of his weird train fetish.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to just really play into this train fetish.
Yeah, but the thing is, she doesn't know that he will never sully a train. He doesn't even buy train porn. But Kazu-san knows that.
Kazu knows. Yeah. And the last scene is like Hitaha meeting up with Yamagishi, and she like takes her panties off and throws them in the trash, and then gets in the car.
Oh my gosh!
So,
just like
she's determined.
That's a waste of underwear. You could put it in your goddamn purse.
That's true.
Don't throw away your underwear. Okay, I don't know how much men's underwear costs. Probably not very much. If you have a nice pair of women's underwear, they are at least $20.
Oh yeah,
damn.
Each. So like, don't fucking throw away your underwear. That's stupid.
She just like,
especially with
she knows that she might like chicken out if she takes them with her or something. But like, like you can. I don't understand. I don't understand how wearing underwear is stopping you.
Hey, I understand. Like,
well,
okay, if she wants to hit on him in the car,
she wanted to surprise him a little bit.
If she wants to tease him, I get that. But like, just stuff it in your bra or something. Don't fucking throw away your underwear. Don't do it.
Oh man, I'm very curious to see how that plays out next episode. It's funny because this episode started off with like everything perfect and happy, and of course now it's like all a nightmare again.
Oh yeah,
so
that's life.
Good
Nothing
times.
is ever perfect and happy for more than 5 minutes. Don't you know?
Absolutely not.
All right.
Oh, tell us about the perfect and happy episode of Demon Slayer.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The info dump episode.
Episode 22.
Pretty much. Yeah, I kept having to write all these names down, and I'm like, this is unfair. I'm terrible with names.
Dude, I loved it because of my notes. I said, I'm super glad I didn't have this episode synopsis.
I'm like, why do I have to do the one with all the names, but I'm terrible with anime names?
Yeah, I think if I'm correct, they introduced like 8 new characters this episode.
Yes. Yes.
Good luck.
Okay, so all these people wake up Tanjiro, and he is surrounded by the Hashiras. And they're putting him on trial for his sister and him basically hunting demons together, when she's a demon.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, you see right away a few of these Hashiras, like, don't even want to have a trial. They're just like, we don't need a stinking trial. It's against the rules. Let's kill him now. Kill him with fire. Kill him. And they're all excited. So there's the flame guy, Kyojiro. I'm saying these fucking wrong as shit. I know. Kyojiro. The flame one. The one that has the hair.
Yeah.
The fiery hair.
Spiky. And the fucking eyebrows. Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, did you walk out of a butler cafe? Like one of those host cafes?
Yeah.
The guy's hair in there kind of looks like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the sound guy, the sound Ashura, his name's Tengen. And he's the one who's like, flamboyantly, like all the time about everything. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Sit in the corner, you dumb bitch. Because that's all he can say. It's flamboyantly.
It's true. Look, they're just, they're getting introduced very quickly. I'm sure they'll be fleshed out later. Maybe he'll have more words to say.
No, I don't think the first 2 will ever be fleshed out.
I feel like a lot of
How many episodes are left?
Well, in this season,
4.
only like 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, like, I feel like a lot of these people are getting introduced so they can, like, die. Like, we need some fodder. Well, I mean, they'll probably do cool stuff. Like, some of them, like, okay, first of all, the ones that have good
they're
voice
like
actors.
the strongest of the strong. They're like the captains of Bleach.
Yeah, exactly, which is why you got to kill them to prove how strong the enemy is.
I could see a few of them.
A few of them are probably going to go down.
Okay, so we're going to introduce all of them, then we're all going to vote on which ones we think are going to die.
Oh, fantastic.
That'll be fun. Okay, so there's this, and also the one in the pile of people who are disagreeing, there's this serpent guy named Aguro, which I actually really like his character design.
Yeah, it's good. He looks kind of like Beetlejuice because he's got like the black and white striped thing on, though.
I guess.
So they all want to just kill him right away. And it seems a bit hasty. I'm not sure why they all act like muscleheads when they're supposed to all be wise as fucking shit because they're Hashiras, but apparently Hashiras can have no brain too. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They all remind me of that boarhead guy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Inosuke?
Yeah, Inosuke. Okay, like these three. Well, maybe not Iguro, but like Kyojuro and Tengen remind me a lot of Inosuke.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And Iguro is even mad at Tomioka, who sided with Tanjiro, and wants to punish him as well. And Tomioka just like keeps his mouth fucking shut, like doesn't say anything, which is probably to his advantage.
Probably.
He has the right to remain silent. Then there's this girl with the cute pigtails, and her name is Mitsuri, and you find out she's the love Hashira, which I'm like, what the fuck is even her power if her power is love? Like, what does that look like? So that will be interesting.
And she's voiced by Kana Hanazawa, so of course.
Mm-hmm. And then there's this stone Hashira named Gyome, who's always fucking crying constantly. How is he not dead on the ground? Do you know how much fluids that would take to constantly cry all the fucking time? He would have to have a glass of water to his hand, like all the time. I don't see it, so I don't know where the fuck the water's coming from. That's all I'm saying. Mist guy Miyuchiro is just he's a space case. That's all there is to him.
I feel like his head is like filled with mist also. I think that's like part of his like identity.
He's supposedly the most powerful also, right?
At one point he mentions that like nothing matters because he'll just forget it anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he has like no memories.
Something like that, yeah.
And then of course Shinobu, who we met already, Butterfly Girl, just keeps being confusing because she just is like, I don't know. It's hard to read her.
Mm-hmm.
She just sits there and looks cute and like serene, but you know something else is going on.
She's awesome. Have I told you who her voice actor is?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Tanjiro's like not paying attention to this at all. He's like, I don't give a fuck about any of you. I'm just looking for fucking Nezuko because we need to get this shit out of here. And you know the handlers are like, he's ignoring the Hashiras. How insulting! And when Shinobu starts to try and ask him about the situation so they can have the trial, Tanjiro tries to start explaining, but coughs and can't talk because he's so injured. And so Shinobu gives him some water with painkillers in it. And Tanjiro, you know, he starts to try to explain, like, Nezuko's never hurt anyone. It's been over 2 years. Like, she doesn't eat humans. And they don't really believe him on her not hurting anyone and not being dangerous. And especially not being able to fight to protect humans. And Mitsuri points out, like, the master probably knew about this because she doesn't see any way he couldn't have. And so they should probably wait for him before they do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So she's pretty cautious. And suddenly another dude, the Wind Hashira, Sanemi?
Yeah.
I'm gonna call him Sanemi. He's covered in scars. He shows up with Nezuko in her box. And he's like the loosest cannon of all the loose fucking cannons.
He's like the Bakugo from My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's exactly who he reminds me of.
It's like so one-to-one comparison, yeah.
Yeah, Shinobu seems pissed as fuck that Tsunami has done this. And Tsunami's just like, oh, you know, this bitch protecting humans, what a total crock, and like stabs through the box with Nezuko with his sword. So Nezuko gets like stabbed through the chest, basically.
Fucking A.
Don't
hurt Nezuko.
Tanjiro's like, I don't give a fuck if you are a Hashira. Like, I'm not gonna let you touch my sister. And he like rushes at Tsunemi, and then right as he's about to attack Tsunemi, Tomioka reminds everyone that the master is gonna be here like super soon. And like this distracts Tsunemi because you kind of see him go like, oh fuck. And he looks surprised and worried. And in that distraction, Tanjiro like fucking headbutts Tsunemi, and they both go down. And Mitsuru's like trying not to laugh, and everything's just awkward. Then Tanjiro has like this weird line here where he's like, if you can't tell the difference between good and bad demons, then you should quit being a Hashira, like to Tsunemi. I don't know. This whole scene was a little like, look at all the new characters. So, okay.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, I think the Mist Demon is liable to die.
I do too.
He's very one-dimensional. I think the Flame guy, Kyojuro, is going to die.
Why are you,
and Tengen
you're
is gonna
picking
die.
all my picks? Oh, goddamn. I also think Kyojiro's going to die.
Because if you look at all of the ones, and maybe the Buddhist like crying dude.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think like the guru's staying around. Obviously, the pink-haired girl's staying around.
Yes,
it's Kanahana.
Yes. Yeah,
the master could die, I guess, but like he seems like a badass. I don't know.
I don't see him dying. I see all the other ones. They've fleshed them out a little bit, and it seems a little. I mean, there are a lot of them they introduced, but when you're fleshing out some of these characters a decent amount, and then the others are just one-dimensional, that's kind of a bad sign for them.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think, Leo?
I don't think any of them are going to die.
Ooh, hot take.
Ooh.
Apparently.
Okay.
I mean, who have they actually killed off?
Random demon slayers who are liquefied.
That's my point exactly.
That's a fair point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So suddenly this master dude arrives, and it's like declared by those weird twin girls from the exam. And he once again calls the Hashira like his beloved children, and his whole face from the nose up is like one big fucking scar. And I think he's blind because in the next
he looks like he took like acid to the face.
Yeah.
Something happened to that guy.
He's definitely blind for sure. 100%.
Yeah, because he does say like, I hope that the weather, like the sun is out, so he obviously can't see it.
Yeah.
And he says like he's happy that the semi-annual Hashira meeting went with no personnel changes. So I guess usually someone dies
or retires
every 6 months or retires. But come on, I have a feeling it's more usual for them to die.
That's called foreshadowing, Leo. You're gonna be wrong. They're all gonna die.
And then Tsunemi grabs Tanjiro and forces him to kneel. He's like, bam, like in the ground. And they all are kneeling. And Tsunemi all of a sudden is like very wise sounding and very calm, like very much in contrast to how he was just a second ago. And it basically says that he's pleased to see the master. Very eloquent. Big change there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the master's basically like, listen, I sanctioned this whole thing with Nezuko and Tanjiro. Like, I mean, I know you guys don't really enjoy this, most of you, but I did say it was okay. And, you know, most of them say they still disagree with the situation, even if he sanctioned it. But yeah, Mitsuru and Michiro seem fine with it. They're really the only ones that didn't complain at all. And then Shinobu and Tomioka stay silent, so, you know. And then, so he unrolls this letter from Urodaki, who was a Hashira. I think we already knew that kind of.
Yeah,
I
think we knew.
Another reminder.
Yeah. Or you easily suspected it.
Right,
yeah. So Urodaki sent this letter to the master, explaining the situation a long time ago, and he's like, if Nezuko hurts someone, like, I'll kill myself, or, you know, Tomioka will kill himself, and Tanjiro will kill himself too. So, like, don't worry, we're really, you know, betting it all on this.
Tanjiro's like weeping when he sees that Tomioka will do this for his sister.
Yeah, Tanjiro was very touched. And the master does point out, like, we can't prove that Nezuko will attack humans, but they also can't prove that she won't. Like, it's not fair to like put all of the weight that they've put on this by putting their lives on the line. If Sanemi wants to have this disputed, then he needs to give an even more convincing argument.
Yep.
Yeah, and he also points out that Tanjiro has met Kibashuji and is apparently the only one to have done so, even among all of the Hashiras. And of course, all the Hashiras are like, what? And they immediately, like, attack Tanjiro with demands of, like, explaining what he looks like and all this stuff. And Tanjiro's just like, ah! Like, yeah. But yeah, and then the master says, like, he thinks something is happening to Nezuko that Kibutsuji never anticipated. So
Yeah.
it's something to study. And suddenly Sanemi is like, I don't give a fuck. You know, see, little stupid ass bitch or whatever, and like cuts himself. And he's like, I'm gonna prove the ugliness of demons. And he starts bleeding on the box deliberately. And Iguro points out she won't come out in sunlight, so Sanemi drags the box into the stage and starts like stabbing it several fucking more times. And Tanjiro is just like, ah, because he can't move. And Nezuko comes out of the box and is like struggling and glaring at Sanemi, but not attacking.
How grumpy Nezuko is when she comes out of the box. Because she's been like stabbed multiple times. She's like, who the fuck is out here?
Oh my gosh.
Sure.
You're just like, chill, Sanemi, chill, okay?
Yeah, so I've been noticing that they've kind of been resorting to this, like, someone tortures Nezuko while, like, Tanjiro can't do anything about it thing a couple times. Like, well, of course, with, like, Rui, like, stringing her up like a honey-baked ham in the last arc. And now, like, Sanemi, like, just, like, putting holes in her like Swiss cheese with his sword. Like, come on. Like, can we stop just molesting Nezuko? Can we get past this? Ugh, it's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I kind of felt the episode was boring because it just felt like an info dump for the most part. And like literally the whole episode is the one scene. That's it.
Yeah, it's just in the one like courtyard of this place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of agree, but like I also was sort of interested in meeting some of the new characters. I liked a few of them, but yeah, I need to get to know more about them for sure. And I don't know how much we're going to learn about them before the end of the season, so that'll be interesting to see where this anime ends.
Yeah, 4 episodes to go. It's like, you're really going to flesh out all these characters? Okay.
Yeah, I assume that this is just like the beginning of 100 episodes of Demon Slayer. That's my guess, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I could see there being a second season. I could see this being like My Hero Academia even.
For sure. Yep.
Yep, definitely. Ooh, let's talk some mystery. How about Astra Lost in Space?
Okay, so this anime has gotten better and better each episode.
I do agree. I think it has continually gotten better every time.
It's very entertaining.
Yes.
Oh my god.
So, episode 9, Revelation. Kanata remembers back when he rebelled against his dad training him. He eventually comes back because he wants to be a pilot, and the training will help him protect his crew. His dad is very pleased by this and has like an evil smile. We know why. And did my theory prove 100% fucking correct?
I'm convinced that you just didn't watch ahead, and that's how you know it.
I did not.
I'm suspicious, Leo.
No.
I'm suspicious.
All the answers were there before episode 9. I swear to you.
Well,
They're
like at the
clear
end
as
of
day.
last episode, there were a lot of like heavy hints for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You were
give me
already talking
clones.
about clones. Yeah.
You give me clones, and then you give me memory transfers, and I'm like, oh, or they're transferring. But what I didn't actually get at the time was like it was clones of themselves.
Yeah, I didn't know
really
that
make
either.
that connection either until this episode. But when they told me there's 2 things, I'm like, it's obvious. They all want to keep living forever. This is how they do it.
I think it's really weird that the artist was like, I want a body that's neither male or female.
The ultimate human expression.
Yeah, he wanted to be godlike or something like that. That was his excuse. But we'll get to that in a minute.
It feels like such a bizarre request to make someone have to live with that's not you.
Yeah. Well, it will eventually be them, I guess.
If you're as fucking selfish as they are, they don't give 2 shits.
They are fucking selfish.
Jesus Christ. They like purposely kept so many of them away from them so they wouldn't be attached for some reason.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I think the ones that kept them close are the even more selfish ones.
which ones are those?
Like the athlete.
Keteri's mom and the athlete guy.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
he
that's-
specifically says, I never saw him as my son.
Well, but that means that you're a kind of a psychopath.
Yeah,
He is.
Like it's one thing to distance yourself physically and be like, nope, not gonna think about it. It's another thing to see that like kid and growing every day and like still keep.
Well, in his eyes, he was growing and conditioning his new body.
But I'm just saying, you have to almost be a little psychopathic.
Yeah, he's
to
a
be able to do
psychopath
that.
for sure.
Yeah.
So Zach and Kanata gather the whole crew to announce the DNA results, and everybody's pretty stunned about the two being clones. That was Kutere and
Phoenicia.
Funi.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call her Funi in the show. I like that. It's better. Kanata and Zach also present their theory that they are clones of their parents and that Zach's father was working on swapping memories so that they could basically transfer theirs into the clones of themselves. That's all of them. Whew. So back on Earth, it is 100% confirmed this was their plan the whole time because they all got in a big meeting to talk about it. But it turns out at one point things got really dicey when a law was passed making clones of yourselves illegal. So after like almost getting caught at one point, that's when they organized the trip and that they would be sent into deep space and be gone forever and they can never compare their DNAs because they would go to jail. And also they just kind of vaguely, they're like, oh, that ball that transported them. Yeah, somebody made that.
Yeah, that was
It's their
weird. I was
creation.
really suspicious. But like, it's like, they're just like, oh, I don't know who made that ball. It's convenient that it exists. I wonder why it exists. And it's like, what?
And then drop it. Yeah.
What?
So that was man-made. That's basically all we get. And it did its intentional thing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Astra. It's called what's it called?
The ball? I don't know what the ball is called.
No, not the Astra. This ship.
The ship is called the Astra that they're on.
No.
Oh.
No.
No, it's not.
It's not. Yeah. I was mistaken when I wrote this. It's called I think it starts with an R. Whatever. They're on the ship.
Yeah, the ship that is their ship.
On the ship, they are coming to terms with what they just learned. They also must have given Luca to Esposito and given him campaign funds to oppose the Genome Act law.
Is it weird that when I read that in the notes, I just thought like Esposito?
I mean, that's how you really say it, though. Yeah, Esposito.
So we know not all the parents are involved, which was interesting because in that meeting, Yunha's mom wasn't there.
Yeah.
But everybody else's who we know is like definitely on board with this cloning thing. So I don't know what that was about. And they also address that Aries' case might be a bit different and that her mother isn't her real mother, but she does love her. That one's got to be fleshed out more. They're not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it may just be that like she just has never met her one person she's cloned from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. As everybody starts breaking down, Kanata yells that we are family and that they can get their revenge by making it back and having them arrested once they test their DNAs and stuff like that.
I like this.
So that rallies
wrong.
everybody back. No, he's not wrong. And then really a good chunk of this rest of this episode is just either Kanata talking to some of the crew and a couple of the others talking to each other. And it all boils right down to that that everybody's accepted the situation and they've calmed down and they're ready to see this through.
Oh, can I ask you a question, actually?
Go ahead.
Before we get to the next part. Like, Kiteri and Funi's mom, why did she make two?
She just basically kind of said she made a second one for just like insurance
backup,
purposes.
basically?
No,
Yeah.
look, she said that other ones said like you're not supposed to, but she wanted the extra for organs.
Yeah, there
So
was
I
also
guess,
an
like-
organs
Oh,
thing.
yeah, that's okay. I think that's what it is.
Okay, and
yeah.
this kind of happens sometimes in real life, which is the fucked up thing. Like sometimes parents will have a second child when they find out their first child is very like sick and needs a donor for things.
Oh.
And like will turn the child into like a donor.
Ooh.
Donor
before
farm.
The child
That's
is
unethical.
old enough to really
Yeah, wow.
consent to that. And there's been like, and I mean it's weird because like you have to imagine that the parents love the other kid too, but they don't want their first kid to die.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, the kid is not able to consent, but, like, there's no law that says that a sibling can't donate for their, other sibling.
Unless they're probably of legal age or something like that.
Well, because there is no, like, if they're not of legal age, like, they can still donate.
Well, if I guess if the second kid is, like, healthy, regardless, like, after this transplant, like...
Well, so there's been some cases of, like, children when they get older suing their parents and being like, you pressured me into that.
Yeah.
You took away my kidney.
Yeah.
God, that reminds me of Lost.
That's a side note, but I've read stories like that. That's kind of fascinating.
So there is a really good part that I want to point out, though. It's Zach has this really good line where he tells Kutera and Funi that it's equal parts genetics and the environment that shapes you. So they are both still very unique and are basically their own person.
Right.
So don't feel like you're the same person. And then Zach and Kutera, I just fucking call her Q. I don't give a fuck anymore. Zach and Q then announce their engagement, and the crew goes crazy, especially Ares, who can't stop kiaing the whole time. And kiaing is a word I just made up right now.
But, like, that is a perfect word to describe what she's fucking doing.
It is perfect. Yeah, no, that's why I was like, this is a made-up word, but this is exactly what she's doing. She won't stop just going, yeah, the whole fucking goddamn time.
It was so annoying, but, like, kind of funny at the same time.
Yeah. And just to add more to the mystery, Zach end up fixing a telescope on the ship, and they can finally see their home planet, which is their next destination. And like Polina comes on deck, and she's so happy to see her home planet as well. And she's calling it Earth, and then they're like, everybody else is like giving her an odd look, and then she's looking at it, and she's like, "Wait, is that Africa? Africa? That's not shaped right. And what's that island over there? I don't know what that." She's like, "This is not Earth. This is something entirely." And like, she just keeps saying Earth, calling it Earth, Earth, and Earth. And they're just looking at her like, what are you talking about? And then she basically to herself, she's like, she tells herself, she's like, "That's not Earth." She looks at everybody and she's like, "What the fuck is that planet I'm looking at right now?" And they're like, "It's Astra."
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then it's just like, whoa. And my mind went exactly the same place yours was. Was she really asleep for 12 years? What happened to Earth? I mean, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah,
right?
like 12 years doesn't seem like... Because, like, if they don't know about the existence of Earth, and she's only been asleep for 12 years, that doesn't make any sense. She must have been asleep for longer, because, like, how would they have, like, erased the existence of a migration from Earth in just 12 years? Like, nobody... How's that? That's impossible. So, I don't know. This is such a weird thing. It's so weird. I don't even know what to think. It's just like, oh God, what does this even mean? I just like all the twists in this show. It's nuts. And
that's what makes it a good show. Is like the twists and the things you never saw coming. There are parts of it where I'm like, nah, but it's gotten better. Just the sheer plot makes it.
I think it's been doing a decent job of like, because when it first starts off, a lot of things are confusing. I think it's doing a pretty darn decent job of just like wrapping shit up and like coming to really good conclusions. I think one they haven't still addressed yet is that possibly one of them is the saboteur for some weird reason.
Yeah. That's true. They still
they're
need
gonna address that soon, though.
They have not talked about that since like episodes 3 or 4, I think.
It's gonna be like sprung on us randomly. You know that's how they're gonna do it. That's one thing I'll say for this that I don't like. It's very predictable in some plot points. Some plot points, the way they do it, it's very predictable. So they have to spring it on us just like out of the blue.
And I like how early on our first big mystery was like, who's the saboteur? And like now that's fucking totally almost sidelined at this point. Like,
yeah.
We don't even care about that right now.
And so like also the bulkhead on the ship bridge like has that Latin phrase like per aspera ad astra, which means like through hardships to the stars. It's like, I guess that's the same origins as that movie that's out now, Ad Astra. But like, yeah, like I guess this ship was meant to literally go from somewhere to Astra, if not Earth, then like somewhere nearby. Like it was one of those ships. So that it's supposed to migrate.
I'm sure they had like colonies.
And given that like
ships taking people.
Oh yeah. And given that Polina like a couple episodes was like, wait, nothing happened in like this time that she was asleep. Something was going down on Earth when they migrated away. Like, so there was a bad situation there.
Yeah, and she and her crew were supposed to be finding a planet people could live on.
Exactly.
So there's some huge time difference here for whatever reason.
I'm sure they'll explain that because that's like too obvious. So yeah. God, this show's so dumb, but it's good anyway. I like it.
It's a good discussion show.
Yeah. All right, should we take a short break?
We can take a short break and then we can talk about a very smart show.
Yeah, science is cool. We'll be right back.
Science is cool.
Hi, I'm JD, your host of the Red Leaf Retrocast, your best location to learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. Our podcast has 4 shows for you to listen to between retro gaming, modern gaming, anime, and even wrestling. The Retro Gaming Cast covers discussion topics, and each episode we discuss retro games picked based on a decided theme for that episode, ranging from space all the way to console specials like the old handheld Game Boy. Our Modern Gaming Cast is monthly and covers video game titles that were released in that previous month. Each anime cast, we focus to review a retro anime each and every episode, like the original Mobile Suit Gundam to the racing hit Initial D. But that's not all. We also keep up with the seasonal shows, by occasionally doing impressions and reviews as well. Finally, our last show is about wrestling, where we keep the rising indie scene up to date, while also covering shows from the bigger promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE, so we cover it all. We also cover a retired wrestler every episode in what we call the Wrestler Spotlight, and are currently on a quest covering old WCW Thunder episodes from the late 90s, every cast. So if any one of those casts sound like something you'd like to check out, that's the Red Leaf Retrocast, Gaming, Anime, and Wrestling, found at iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and all your favorite podcasting sites. Also, you can learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. We can't wait to see you soon.
Hey dude, you into anime, manga, and all that radical stuff?
Oh yeah, man, it's tubular.
Then you should totally check out
This transmission has been hacked. If you want discussions, debate, reviews, and all in between, you must listen to the Anime Radicals Network at www.animeradicals.com. There's timely reviews, revolutions, mecha, and much more. Find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all podcast catchers. The Anime Radicals Network.
The revolution will be simulcast.
And we're back, and we want to start this episode with Dr. Stone. Let there be light. Go, take
Dr. Stone, episode 9. So Senku's got that ramen, and it's a huge fucking hit with the villagers, as expected. Everybody loves it, but especially, I like how they had, this sort of slight callback. That girl, one of the main 3 who was, looking for a boyfriend, the one who wants a man who can feed her, goes up to him and's like, what kind of girls do you like? And he's like, ones who can blow air into a furnace. He's got a one-track mind. And he fully intends on making the village, work to death in proportion to how much ramen they ate. So this is not out of the goodness of his heart whatsoever. He's surprised to hear somebody behind him, though, say that his ramen is making him thirsty for something to drink, and he'd like a cola. And he's like, cola? How did somebody know about colas? And so Kohaku notices this guy, and she and the village guards, surround him and demand to know if he's with, the long-haired man, Tsukasa. And he claims he's just been on his own since he was unpetrified. But after the OP, Senku's oh, this is Asagiri Gen. I recognize this guy. He's a magician who used to write trashy psychology books. And Asagiri pretends to be afraid of the guards. He says he's a mentalist. He's trying to make himself sound better. He's just a musician basically, though. But Kohaku can see right through him and senses he's not actually afraid. He's just saying he is to get on their good side. And his words cannot be taken at face value whatsoever. And so Senku's like, all right, whatever. You're going to work the furnace with these other villagers. And they upgraded those blowers. So they're like these bamboo pipes now that they just like force air down into by like pumping up and down like crazy. And everybody's like passing out.
Are they called bellows?
I guess they're basically bellows at this point. Yeah, almost. Yeah. And so Senku takes the opportunity to try to get Asagiri to talk while he's like tired from doing all this. And he strangely does just decide to let it slip. Like, yeah, Taiju is like really got a lot of stamina. Don't worry about him. And that he's basically with Tsukasa. Like he just basically immediately lets it out. And apparently the reason is because once he saw this furnace in action, he was like, I need to like decide which side I'm going to take now. Like his job was to find out if Senku was truly dead. Like that's why Tsukasa sent him. And he could go back now and say like, oh, he's alive. And then they'd be screwed. Because Tsukasa would come immediately before they were like ready to fend him off. But the furnace just finished smelting iron because they got it hot enough. And they form it into a bar with like a wooden like form. And seeing this, Asagiri's like not sure that like, hey, if Senku's villagers have iron weapons, they might be able to defeat Tsukasa's kingdom. So then he's like weighing his options. He's like, well, I could stay in the kingdom of science, I could eat good food, but I'd have to work to the death because of Senku. Or I could chill and relax with crappy food at Tsukasa's village, but be pampered by hot chicks the whole time and not work very much. And then I could like bring back the ideas of idols and harems and live the good life. So sounds good. I don't know. So Kohaku like is like, can I just kill this guy immediately? But Senku is like, no, if he doesn't go back, Tsukasa's gonna know and he's gonna come right after us. So he tells Asagiri that what he's gonna build next with the iron they've made is gonna convince him to stay. And he claims he's gonna make a generator, like an electricity generator. Wait, what'd you say, Kat?
I was going to say it's electrifying, but then I thought better of it when you asked me.
Oh my!
I don't like that he made a generator that's man powered though. I think he probably would have been more impressive to make like a wind generator or a water generator.
Yeah, but Senku likes working people to the death. I think that's part of his...
Senku is like weird. He needs to chill with that. People aren't always going to be willing.
That's true, yeah. I think eventually he's going to have to like convert to non-human powered stuff, but I guess it's probably the quickest and easiest way to get things up and going at this point. So
I mean, yeah, but eventually.
Yeah. So the thing they're going to need though is lightning. And luckily, as he says that, like a thunderstorm like immediately strikes.
Ironically, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. But then he's like, oh shit, I'm not prepared though. Cause he'd wanted to make like a bunch of iron rods to increase his like chances of making magnets and like making a bunch of different magnets. Cause like, so yeah, his idea is to get lightning to hit like this iron stone. And like, you know, the magnetic field from the lightning will affect it and create a magnet out of it. So they have to move fast, though, because they have to melt down copper to use as this wire to wrap around the iron bars. And they also insulate it with some lacquer from the village that is like a good insulator for the iron. And pour like the copper into like channels that they carved into like this wooden plank. And that like makes it into a wire form and they wrap it around that rod. But because they took that plank from the bridge, like that girl with like the really doofy black hair, like runs to the village leader and Kohaku's dad, Magma, and it's like, they're destroying the bridge. And he's ready to fight them. And so Asagiri's like, let me handle this. And he has Suika give him some flowers. And he meets the dude on the bridge, and he's like, I'm going to stop them with my sorcery. Because, like, these people think that, like, they're using sorcery to, like, bring down lightning on the village.
Right.
That's how backwards they are. And he's like, no, look at these flowers I have in my hands. And then, like, he just makes them disappear behind his palm. Like, very simple trick, and they're just, like, blown away, and Magma just, like, fucks off back to the village. She's like, okay, I've seen enough here. I don't want to deal with this shit. So yeah, Senku indicates that his lightning magnets idea actually came from this NASA scientist named Peter Wasilewski. And I looked this guy up. He basically shot bottle rockets into storm clouds in like New Mexico, attached to like a 3-mile long wire. And
Whoa.
that at the base of it is a plastic box with some sand.
How strong
and a
are
stone.
these fucking bottle rockets if they're shooting 3 fucking miles?
Pretty strong. I assume the wire is like very lightweight, but still like, yeah, I think it's like a pretty big rocket. I don't know. It's like it's a NASA scientist. They know a lot about rockets. So basically, yeah, it's to create a lodestone out of the like stone that's in this box in some sand at the other end of the wire on the ground. And it's like a charged magnetic stone. And that's like created by the lightning's magnetic field, like I was saying. So Senku doesn't have a rocket, so they're like, let's just go to the top of this bald mountain and put a lightning rod there. But they can't get like the wooden sticks into the ground. It's like raining and it's hard. And they're like, just if we just had something sharp and metal and stick it to the ground. And Kohaku sees Kinro's golden spear, and she like takes it from him and like plunges it into the ground. And like once they tie the iron bar to it, the lightning hits it almost immediately. And so it creates their magnets. But Kinro's spear is like destroyed in the process, and he can't hide how upset he is about it. Like he actually did really love that.
Oh, we knew he
spear.
liked it the whole time.
Yeah. And so Kohaku is like hilariously telling Senku, we might have failed to make magnets. She's holding the 2 iron bars like next to each other, and they like won't go near each other. And she's like, oh, these aren't magnets because they won't like magnetize. And he's like, oh, you idiot. Flip one of them over because the poles were backwards. And so once they flipped over, it's like zoom, like right into each other. They're very powerful. And now they apparently just need copper and phosphorus to get electricity out of these things. So they make a flat copper disc out of that like melted copper, and they smooth it out with this rock called corundum, which is apparently like the second hardest after diamond. And so it's a very smooth disc now. And then he's like, oh, I was going to coat the disc in phosphoric acid. That would be the phosphorus part. But apparently the lacquer that Kohaku puts on her shield works just as well. And the lacquer is also working overtime on Senku's face because he apparently touched it at some point, and his face is like all puffed up like Anpan Man, like Japanese mascot dude. And so yeah, once they made the 2 discs, they placed them on this wooden platform between the magnets, and they've basically created this like 2-person hand crank generator. But they need 2 perfectly in sync people to crank it, because if it's not in sync, like it'll apparently fall apart. So they're like, oh, Kinro and Ginro, it's time for you guys to finally like step up. And Asagiri is actually the guy who convinces them that with electricity, they might be able to make more silver and gold spears. And that finally wins them over because they both want that. And so to test out the electricity, once these guys get it going, Senku uses a piece of steamed bamboo string on a leaf, which is very similar to Thomas Edison's like initial working incandescent light bulb design, apparently. Like he used carbonized bamboo filament inside a light bulb, and it was able to last like 1,200 hours. So it's like very similar material. And so for the first time in 3,700 years, the night sky is lit up bright by something that's not fire, basically. And so Leo, say it with me.
Science is so
cool. Science is really cool. This is like a really good episode. There was so much science crap in it, and it was so much fun. And it's so much fun to just like look this stuff up. But I also think it's like really interesting for like the writer who was like writing this manga in the first place to figure out like
research all of that. Yeah,
like research that and like figure out like how can we like skip ahead in like what steps can we skip because of like newer experiments that were done like more recently. We can
skip the next show.
You're a fucking bitch, and I hope you burn.
God damn it. That was set up too well. Anything else to say about Dr. Stone before we go to the next show?
No, I think it's a given.
All right. Take it away,
God,
Kat.
Leo.
The long-awaited episode 9.
All right.
The performance to end all the
Okay.
7-minute miracle, as I call it. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
So the guitar string broke just as they're about to go on stage, and Ritsuko's like, "Fuck, this is bad. It's all over." Haruki reminds him like, "It just needs to be fixed." And didn't you tell? You're the one who taught him that. It's very symbolic. Ritsuko tries to talk to Akihiko right before the performance, just as like they're running around trying to find the guitar strings, and he kind of blows her off and is like, "I can't talk right now." And she whispers like, "Take care of Ritsuko for me," under her breath. So that's a little interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why they chose to have that.
I thought that was like a kind of awkward line too. Like, I guess she said that.
Yeah, like I don't know if they're foreshadowing some dramatic event or it's like poorly chosen for that to be in this show.
Or she was just saying that because like she thinks that Akihiko expected her to like say something about him, but like really what she cared about was just like her brother in that moment. I don't know. It's just a weird line overall.
It was a little odd. Yeah, I wasn't sure if like we're about to get some sad scene of her like dying, or I was like, what the fuck is this?
No, I don't think it's that.
I don't know. I hope not. I don't think so, but it felt weird to have it in here if there wasn't going to be something to happen. So it was weird. Anyway, so Haruki gets the band that's playing before them to stall for time. He has them like play a couple more songs. And Ritsuko runs trying to find a string. Like he runs around town trying to find a guitar shop. He gets back in time and Haruki tells him like, chill, because you're all tense and sweaty from running. And they leave, and it's just Mafuyu and Ritsuko in the room. So, and Ritsuko's like, "Can I change your strings?" And it's just like very da-na-na. And meanwhile, so like all the couples are getting fucking together. Akihiko pulls Haruki aside to talk, and he tells him he's always saving his ass, like personally, not even just the band. And he like does the cabedon thing, and like leans in and is like, "You can be a little more conceited." And I'm like, damn, damn. And then they act fine and chill when they go on stage, and I'm like, how did you not nail that dude against the wall then? Like, why are you acting all chill? I guess like age really does help.
It was interesting how they framed that, because like Haruki's like entirely off screen and Akihiko's like face is sort of barely on screen, so it's like you could infer that maybe something is happening, but they're very close, at least. Like he moves in on him, so
yeah, you really don't know what happened.
Yeah,
all the way. Yeah, it's interesting. And Ritsuko has this very poetic moment where he compares guitar strings to someone's heart. How they get kind of played and pulled to their breaking point, and sometimes like they snap, and it feels like they can just never be replaced.
Yeah,
but having someone replace them helps the wounds heal just a bit. It's very poetic. I don't give a shit if you think it's dramatic, Leo. It's poetic.
I thought that was like a pretty on-the-nose metaphor, but I rolled with it. It was all right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they've done better metaphors, but still, it's good. When they get on stage, the mic is still up from the last performance. They decide to leave it that way, so it's not really in their way. And of course, fucking Mafuyu starts singing during the performance. It's better.
I thought it was pretty good, actually.
It's not amazing. It's not Carole and Tuesday level.
No.
But it's much better.
Yeah, it's not like professional musician level, but like it was much better. And I think because the singing was so bad in early episodes, like my expectations were so low that I was like, oh, this is actually really good. And
that's sad.
The other thing that sold it though was like the emotion. The performance came through really well.
Yeah. You get a lot of flashbacks while he's singing of him and Yuki. And you find out kind of from the flashbacks, like in that dumb fight that they had before he died, he asked Yuki, like, "Are you willing to die for me then?" But like, as we've already discussed, I don't think he meant to kill himself.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it's just a bad coincidence that he said that dramatically in the fight. Like, yeah. It's a good.
It's a weird thing to tell anyone. Are you willing to die for me? Like,
I don't know. I guess maybe he's looking for commitment.
yeah, I guess
just
a lot
in
of commitment.
Dramatic teenage way. You know, like when you're a teenager and you say dramatic things. I'm sure that's
Yeah.
Listening to too much Green Day, you get ideas.
I'll say the only issue I had with this performance was when they were zoomed out so they could have the crowd and the band on the screen at the same time, and they rigged CGI models of the guys for just these like really short, like 1.5 second shots or 2 second shots, and it looked so bad. Like, it was the only part of the performance that looked bad. It was just these couple of shots that, like, I really think they could have done without, because they kept panning back and forth between the crowd and the band, and I don't think they needed these shots, and they really make it look worse than it needs to. Everything else looked pretty decent, though. Like, I don't think it's like Kids on the Slope level or like K-On level animation of a concert, but it looked pretty darn good. Like, everybody was pretty like motion heavy. Like, Ritsuka's like jamming on his guitar and stuff, and they're doing cool camera movements to like show it off. And every camera shot that they use to like show what Mafuyu is feeling at that time like works. It worked for me. And like, this is someone who's like, I was so not into Mafuyu and Ritsuka before this episode, and like, I think they made it finally work in this performance, and so I think that's saying a lot.
Yeah, they did a decent job with it. And like, while he's playing the song, he thinks to himself, like, no matter where I go, like, this Yuki is still in my head, and I can't like forgive him or myself, and I still miss him a lot. And then, of course, as soon as the song is over, Ritsuki pulls Mafuya off stage for a second, and it's kind of awkward because they leave the other two guys kind of hanging. Like,
Haruki like is a champ though. He like totally rolls with it. Like, our guitarist actually kind of just walked off stage, and like, so did our singer. But like, yeah, they wrote this song.
Yeah, he does his best. And Ritsuka kisses him and is like, "You did a great job." And Mafuya is really shocked and cries, and it's clear he's having a lot of conflicting emotions.
I really liked that moment. I thought it was like a little awkward maybe because like Mafuyu is in a very vulnerable state right then. Like, you could say that like Ritsuka is like kind of taking advantage, but at the same time Ritsuka has been dying to kiss this boy for like 7-8 episodes.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I don't think he could hold himself back after like the emotion of that performance. And I really liked his delivery of that line, like, "You did so good out there." And then he like runs back to the stage, like, because he's too embarrassed. But yeah, that was awesome. And like the way that they smiled at each other on the stage was interesting too.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Ritsuko goes back to the stage and they do some more songs. Mafuya doesn't come back. He's like done. And he like sits on the stairwell and thinks like, I'm not lonely and I'm enjoying my life and I even have someone new to love. And he kind of wonders what he would say to Yuki if he could talk to him again. Because like, it's, it's kind of weird. I don't know. Everyone seemed to really like the song in the comments afterwards, which, in my opinion, that's how they really, in all the music anime I've seen, other than Carole and Tuesday, how they tell you how you were supposed to feel about the song. Because almost always it's not professional musicians. They all kind of suck a little.
Yeah.
The songs and music. But like afterwards, everyone will be like, "Oh, it wasn't good," or like, "Oh, wow, that was amazing," and like that's supposed to tell you what you were supposed to feel about it.
Yeah, but I'll say like when we talk about our Carole and Tuesday episode later today, like the lyrics in this song were pretty damn good, and they were pretty poignant and meaningful for like the themes of the anime. There's a song at the end of this week's like Carole and Tuesday episode that I felt like just fell flat. And usually their songs hit, so like it's a rare exception where it falls flat for me. But this song did not fall flat, and I was surprised because like I went into this episode thinking like I might hate this show if this episode is bad, and I thought it was good. So yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it still was good. It's just like they still had to do the part where they tell you how you're supposed to feel about it.
Yeah.
Because it's not Carole and Tuesday. But yeah, is it
Haruki?
Hiraji.
Oh, Hiraji.
Hiraji.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hiragi comes to see Mafuya after the show and looks kind of pissed or something. He has like this weird look on his face. He says that Yuki knew that Mafuya loved music and he wanted to write a song for Mafuyu. and he tells Hiragi that Mafuyu tells Hiragi that he has someone new that he likes, and Hiragi says that's good and to do his best. And it's kind of a good little scene. Because I think if Hiragi had been upset about it, it would have been really hard.
Yeah, and like Hiragi tells Mafuyu, like, the thing you wanted was for Yuki to ask you to do it all together, I guess. Yeah. And like, I guess that's where the tension was, because Mafuyu wanted to be included, and Yuki just like wanted to do this like for him, I guess, without him knowing. I don't know. It's
it may have been he wanted more independence, because sometimes in relationships you can feel a little suffocated after a while. Like you need your own life outside the relationship.
Especially when your boyfriend's like, "Will you die for me?"
Yeah.
Need a little space.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. And then after the credits, we see Yuki and Mafuyu together at the beach. And Yuki says he hopes that Mafuyu remembers him when he next comes to the beach, because this is Mafuyu's first time. And Mafuyu like thinks to himself that he'll remember this even in 10 years. And it's very cute and romantic, but also kind of sad because you know what happens.
Yeah. I liked that scene in that it gave us a taste of what their relationship was like before things went downhill.
Yes.
I think that was important.
Well, and I don't even think they were really going that downhill. I think it's just a dramatic fight that people get in dramatic fights and do dumb things.
I also liked that, like, sort of just like dumb teenager line of like, "Hey, should we have sex in the bathroom when we get back?" He's like, "No,
like, no,
we should." Leo, did you get anything out of this, like the performance, at least in this episode? What'd you think of it?
Well, just like you, I couldn't help myself but compare it to Carole and Tuesday, and
right.
just be very unimpressed. So,
like, I thought the drums and guitar part were actually pretty good, though, and like the bass line was fine. Like, I thought all the instrumental stuff was like pretty decent. The singing, you could you could nitpick. I will say it came off as like raw emotional singing, which is always going to be like a little out of key. But all
you make me want to do is talk about Carole and Tuesday, because we know Crystal's going to be singing again, and I'm so fucking excited. We can't talk about that yet. God damn it.
It's true. Yeah, we're blessed with Carole and Tuesday and the professional singers that are making it fly, you know. But anyway, yeah, I thought this was a successful episode. I'm glad. I'm glad it didn't just fail here.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Bcom's willing to admit when something's good. Fucking Leo. Bitch from hell.
Because it's not for me, I honestly can't tell if it's good or not right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Like sometimes you like just are too deep in like one mode that you can't really tell, and you need to just like think about it.
I will say it's better than most yaois.
See, I have no way to compare that. I've like seen no other yaois.
It's less of a yaoi and more of a normal romance anime about two gay people.
Yeah, it's like a shonen ai, like more than a yaoi. Yeah.
Well, but even shonen, it has more story to it than most shonen ai do.
Yeah.
I think they've done a good job with it for what it is.
I think so too. Yeah, I think they're doing a decent job. This episode was strong. You know what else is strong? Thorkell the fucking Tall is strong.
Oh, we get to talk about Thorkell. I'm excited.
You know how strong Thorkell the Tall is? I put him in our character sheet twice by accident.
I noticed that. I totally noticed that when you did that.
He can't be contained by one thumbnail. He has to have two. What are you doing deleting it? He deserves to be there.
What? You're right. Oh, wait. How do I do this? There we go.
Control Z. Control Z.
He's good. He's back.
He's in there twice again.
He should just take up 2 boxes like vertically because he's that tall. That'd be so good.
Yeah,
he is. He's fucking huge.
So, episode 9 of Vinland Saga: The Battle of London Bridge. And when we left off, the Danish army had reached London.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
What's up?
So is this why they sing "London Bridge is falling down"?
I don't think so. There's like that line or somewhere in the episode where they're like, "Oh, if at this rate, London Bridge isn't going to fall for another 100 years." I don't know if that was like an allusion to like history and like the London Bridge actually falling, but I don't know. Like Leo, if you want to look up like London Bridge falling down,
I'm looking it up.
Figure that out.
Cat's got it.
I doubt it's based on this, but yeah, or anything like this, but the Danish army had reached London, and they had expected this to be an easier battle, but they didn't know that the Viking trader Thorkell the Tall would fight for the English side for gold. And Askeladd admits he's only on King Sweyn's side because he expects it to be the winning one. They're all just trying to back the winning side. But this is a crucial battle because taking London Bridge and the River Thames will allow for a Danish supply line all the way into Wessex, which is like one of the last areas they haven't conquered, I guess. And so Askeladd's like, Thorfinn, why don't you bring me Thorkell's head?
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are different theories.
Oh, wow.
No one is sure. One of them is it started to fall down due to old age, and it took centuries and they wouldn't repair it. And then they finally did. But there is a Viking attack theory.
Oh, cool.
So, according to historian Snorri Sturluson,
what a name.
the London Bridge was destroyed by Ulf II of Norway in the early thousands, so like 1014 or 10.
Well, this is 1013 when this is taking place. So
yeah. So it may. This is exactly what it is. Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
So yeah, okay, good. They totally did make that reference then. Okay. So yeah, Thorfinn is like not amused when Askeladd asks him to do something else, and he's like, I'm gonna carve your fucking heart out like the next time. And Askeladd's like, sure, do whatever you want, just bring me Thorkell's head.
Well, wait, okay, so like apparently Ulf II was known as this very strong Norse man.
Oh god.
Who broke down the bridge in legend by himself.
Okay.
Is that what's gonna be? Is Thorkell gonna do this?
I don't know. Are we spoiling ourselves with history? Is this what's happening? No, I don't.
It's just a legend. They don't know if it's real.
That's pretty cool, though. Yeah, maybe that's what's gonna happen. Yeah. I don't know. So meanwhile, Floki takes a boat with like the Joms Vikings over to the bridge, and they're gonna try and buy off Thorkell, right? They're gonna like double what the English are paying him. But the English like start shooting at their boats with arrows, like throwing rocks at them, even though he's like, I'm an envoy, stop. And it takes Thorkell, who like comes up, and this is when you first realize how fucking big he is, because he like grabs this archer by his head like he's a little doll, and he's like, please stop firing. And like tells the others to cease fire. And Floki's like, all right, King Svein wants you to come back into the fold. They're talking in like Nordic or Norse, so like the English don't know what the hell they're saying.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. He's like, we spent all this time fighting on the same side, Thorkell, and your brother, Sigvaldi, he's really worried about you. And Thorkell in Nordic is like, yeah, these English soldiers, they're a pretty weak bunch. They're kind of sheltered city boys. No one is left that could stand up to someone like you, Floki. And it like zooms in on his face, and he gets like all smiling. He's like, which is why I want to fight on the English side, because it's more fun that way. And so Floki's like, shit. And before they could even double the money and whatever, like Thorkell gets this gigantic boulder and throws it at their ship, like huge boulder, and barely misses. But the archers start firing again, like they have to retreat. And Thorkell yells after Floki to ask King Svein, like, does it ever get boring always being on the winning side? Because apparently Thorkell is very bored of being on the winning side always, like not having a good fight. And so Svein orders the siege to like recommence when he hears about this, and the Vikings like sail underneath the bridge and they start chopping away at like the pier with their axes. But Thorkell's like, He picks up these fucking giant logs and just throws them through the boats like a spear and sinks the boats, and like the guys get like tossed overboard from the impact. And he's like, hey guys, I call this one the log dropper.
Toilet humor.
And so Askeladd's had enough of all this, so he sails his boat to the bridge just close enough so Thorfinn can do one of his like Olympic long jumps. And guess what?
I think you're exaggerating when you call that an Olympic long jump.
It was pretty long. I don't know. It was a good jump. Studio Wit finally decided to animate this show, like really animate it, because like when Thorkell like jumps, like they do this like slow motion animation of him like just barely like jumping on top of the swinging log that like Thorkell is using against him, and like sliding up under it, and like jumping in the air, and like, you know, coming back down in like a really controlled stance, like he's like not a, you know, he's not in the problem at all, basically. He's just like avoiding everything. But then Thorkell gets serious, and he throws down his log, and he tells the other soldiers to back off because it's a duel now. And he's just going to use his bare hands, and Thorfinn's like, he's not taking me seriously. And he tries to go in to get like a hit on him, and like the force of Thorkell's punch is so ridiculous that Thorfinn is like completely taken by surprise and like barely like gets out of there. And what'd you say, Kat?
No, I'm just laughing because this fight was amazing.
It's really cool. I really like Thorkell.
Super awesome.
And Thorfinn's like, I can't reach any of his weak points. They're too fucking high because he's so tall. Like his armpits or his neck or like his weak points, and he can't get there. So he's like, oh, the next best thing is to go low. So he like shoots between Thorkell's legs and like kicks the back of one of his legs out. And he's got him in perfect position to like stab him in the neck. And Thorkell blocks the short sword with his hand, and it like pierces straight through his hand. And then he's like, well, I've got you now, kid. And he starts like, he picks like Thorfinn up and starts slamming him like back and forth on the bridge, just like repeatedly slamming him down like a rag doll.
Pretty fucking much. He's getting like destroyed.
Yeah. Askeladd's like, he's getting his arse handed to him. And the Vikings sail away because they get a signal to retreat. And they just like leave Thorfinn there for dead, and he's hanging limp from the short sword that he's like still lodged in Thorkell's hand, but he's barely hanging on to the other sword. It's crazy
that he has a fucking sword through his hand, but he still has like enough control in his hand to have enclosed his hand over his hand.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's just like, dude, what the fuck?
Well, we've already established he's fucking
He's crazy. He's like even more ridiculous and larger than life than Tor's was. And that guy was really larger than life. And so like, Thorfinn uses the other sword to like cut 2 fingers off of that impaled hand.
This was the crazy part to me.
Oh yeah. That was pretty nuts.
Like his reaction was just like, oh. Whatever.
He's just like,
2 more fingers are gone.
You're a true warrior. What is your name?
Like, not like, fuck my fingers, or like, god damn it, what the hell, or any of that. No. His reaction is just like, oh yeah, 2 of my fingers are gone. You're a good fighter.
He acts like his nerve endings are just fucking dead.
Oh, yeah.
Completely throughout his body. Like, he's got none. He reacts to no damage to him at all.
Yeah. And so, like, yeah, Thorfinn gets free, and then, like, he tells him, like, I am Thorfinn, son of Tors, and it's clear that Thorkell recognizes Tors, and he wants to say something, but, like, Thorfinn, like, lets himself fall off the side of the bridge and, like, swims away. As, like, Thorkell, like, waves his hand, which is still spurting blood from the fingers that have been cut off. And he's like, we should fight again, please.
He's like, bye! And it's just, like, going everywhere. I'm like, dude, don't shake your fucking hand that's spewing blood. Use your other goddamn one.
He definitely does not care. He's, like, doesn't care whatsoever.
Oh, my God. You think he would bleed out if he's that stupid?
Probably, yeah. But he's got a lot of blood, it looks like. He's a big boy.
I mean, yeah, but eventually if you don't wrap something around 2 fingers getting cut off.
Yeah.
I think it was 3.
No, I think it was just the 2.
I think it's 2.
It's just his pinky and ring finger on his right hand, I think, yeah. Given the losses that the Danes took during this battle, Floki estimates for the king that the Siege of London could take like a year or 6 months if it goes like really well. And Svein knows it's already autumn and they can't afford to spend that much time on one city. So he orders like the main army to march west to control like the rest of England that hasn't been conquered. and just to keep 4,000 troops behind sieging London under the command of Canute. And this is when that guy Ragnar argues, like, the Canute's not going to be able to handle this. Like, he's in emotional distress, and he's only going to have, like, a fifth of the troops that we had, and we couldn't beat Thorkell before, so how is he going to do it? But Svein basically says, like, he needs to gain standing. Like, this is the only way he can do it. He's grown soft because of his Christian upbringing, and he needs this battle to, like, help him get back in good graces.
I think he just wants him to die.
That's also a possibility. Like. Yeah.
I think he's just like, this will be an easy way to kill him off. Like, he's not going to survive this. He's a win. Mm-hmm. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, either way, like, it seems like the king's problems are going to be taken care of. Like, he's either going to die or he's going to become, like, a man. I don't know. And somewhere downriver, like, Thorfinn emerges from the water. He's real beat up. He's got a dislocated shoulder, sprained ankle, busted ribs, which is, like, actually not so bad considering, like, that giant man was, like, flinging him around. But
yeah, I was shocked that it wasn't.
Yeah, but busted ribs are so slow you down so fucking much, so debilitating that, like, I'm surprised he was able to even swim.
Yeah, it's hard to breathe with, like, busted ribs. Yeah, so seeing most of the Vikings retreat, the Englishmen wonder if they won the battle, and they start celebrating, and Thorkell's, like, yelling, like, "You cowards, come back! I want to fight!"
I want to fight more!
And Askeladd, who's, like, marching west now, comes across Thorfinn as the troops are headed towards Wessex. And he tells Thorfinn he can stay behind if he can't keep up with the march after all that beating that he took.
I feel like that was just a jab.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
he knows.
Like he needs to stop with being such a shithead to this poor kid.
Tough love.
Like,
so the kid is trying to kill him. I mean,
well, but, like, I also think he sees him in a weird way. Like, he does know that he's trying to kill him, but he also has, like, a weird fondness. Like, I don't know. It's weird. There's something weird there.
Well, Thorfinn reacts all determined. He, like, braces his arm against the ground and, like, puts it back into his shoulder socket.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could really put their own shoulder back into socket. You need someone else to do it for you. It's not like the angle of it. I don't think that's really realistic.
It's hard. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think I could do it for sure. And yeah,
I don't know. You want to run an experiment? We'll dislocate your shoulder and see if you can put it back in.
I mean, I've put my knee joint back in myself, but, like, it's like down on your body. You can use both hands.
Right, yeah, you have leverage. Like,
yeah, like, it's not gonna work as well.
Well, I guess he did, like, he used the leverage of his body against the ground to push it in a little bit.
But it's like you have to have the dexterity to get it in the right area.
Right.
Like, if you hit it and you don't get it back in right, you're gonna pass out.
Oof.
I guarantee you're gonna pass out.
Oh, man. I don't want to think about that. And then he, like, grimaces because he's thinking about how he's gonna have to, like, face Thorkell again, and he's thinking about Askeladd, and he thinks about both of them. He's like, these fucking madmen. What the hell is so fun about war? Because they both kind of love it, and he does not. So yeah, that was a pretty great episode. I look forward to more Thorkell the Tall. Lots more Thorkell the Tall.
I want to see him break down this bridge.
We'll see. I want to see what the deal is with this Canute guy, too. I want to see what's up with him. So, hopefully next.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right. Got one more show to go. Leo, you're up.
It's too late, baby. It's too late. Carole and Tuesday. Episode title, It's Too Late, by Carole King.
Another Carole.
Yeah, this one's white though.
Oh yeah, she's very white.
So Angela appears to be pretty lost with Dahlia now in the hospital, suffering her fucking, I guess, heart attack or whatever happened to her last episode. She seems to be in a coma or something. And also the media still just doesn't give a shit and hounds her with questions as she tries to leave the hospital about Tao's arrest and, like, how is she tied to him and whatnot. Then our little group meets up, which is Gus, Rhodey, Carole and Tuesday, and Rhodey suggests that they do a collab with another star for the Grammys because it would be really good for them. And Gus is like, you know what? I will find somebody. I'll take care of this. I need you two girls to just focus on making the final song for the album. And then we skip ahead, and Tuesday decides she's going to get Carole a present for her birthday, which is on Christmas, which is also the same day as the Grammys.
Which I'm like, why the hell are the Grammys on Christmas? Don't they know that the Knicks are playing the Celtics? Come on. Nobody wants to watch the Grammys. Obviously.
Nobody watches the Grammys anymore.
Tuesday.
We all just look at the news the next day and find out the highlights.
Yeah. Like to watch the videos.
Like what thing was good.
Who made a fool of themselves on the red carpet, blah, blah, blah.
The only people who watch them are like grandmas who are sitting in their like little chair. Yeah, nothing better to do.
In my experience, it's like grandmas and girls from Long Island who really care about the Grammys. In my personal experience.
So Tuesday ends up taking Roddy with her shopping. And Rhodey asks if they're going to put up a tree, and Tuesday's like, we would like to, but they're really expensive, and I'm not even sure if we can even afford a fake one. And Rhodey's like, you know what? I will buy you guys a real Christmas tree as a gift for me to the two of you. And like he looks at the price tag and it's like $2,000, and that's like after it's been marked out from like $3,500. He's like, fuck.
Yeah, you think about like some like desolate places in the United States who get like Christmas trees and they're like marked up. Think about getting one to Mars. That's not
because like they don't have trees on Mars. Like everything's imported. They would have to have like tree farms, which we do have Christmas tree farms here. Well, at least in Indiana, I can vouch for.
Yeah.
But like
we do.
Even then, it's they don't have good growing conditions. They would have to probably like bring fucking dirt from Earth also to fucking be able to have a farm.
They'd have to probably grow it inside that one like guy's like greenhouse.
Oh yeah, what's his name? The
what was his
famous
name?
artist
Desmond
guy
or something. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think it was Desmond.
So Gus ends up going to Hofner to get the contacts of a certain artist so he can negotiate with them on the collab. He's like, if I would go through their agency, they would turn me down anyway. So, I need to talk to them directly, negotiate right with them then and there. Carole visits Amir, who is the rapper from the last episode, in prison before they deport him back to Earth, and tells him she can tell he is wearing a mask, and she hopes she can hear a song from him that would sound more like what the real Amir would write. And like he acts like it doesn't get to him, but we find out later on it does. And then there's just this quick scene that almost flashes by the screen where Angela like goes back to Dahlia's apartment, and she's like looking at the pictures of like when Dahlia was like her father instead of her mother like he is now. And she looks at the birth certificate, and there's just no info on there at all. So it makes her wonder if even Dahlia is her real mother or not.
Yikes.
Yeah, so do you guys where
like,
that's
I
going?
don't know. It's just the start of like a downward spiral for Angela, though. It's like not knowing who she is or what she's meant to do.
Yeah.
But what do you think? What do you think,
Kat?
I almost wonder if someone didn't like if she wasn't adopted for this or something. It is interesting and odd. Like she was supposed to be like she her manager all along.
What if she's a clone of Dahlia but made female?
No. but no, I mean
little Astra there.
Yeah. But no, I mean it's interesting. Like I almost wonder if they knew she was going to be talented or something, and just decided like, oh, I'll just exploit her.
Yeah,
and adopt
which
her,
is
or what
Angela's
happened.
biggest concerns. So whether they're real or not, we don't know. We don't have any evidence to say otherwise. And Carole returns home and sees the Christmas tree Rhodey bought them, and she helps decorate it. And then we like learn how Carole never got the chance to believe in Santa Claus because she was an orphan, and like the Rhodey and Tuesday are like, oh man,
they're
that's
like all
really
depressed. We're sorry
bumming.
we brought it up.
Yeah, we're sorry about that. And Jerry is pleased that Valeria has finally gained the lead with a 51% approval rating. And then Spencer shows up, and he returns and he says, I was wrong. I actually belong at your side, talking to his mother, Valerie. And she immediately accepts him back and like offers him dinner. Like, have you eaten? Do you want some food? And Jerry's kind of just giving the side eye, just like.
And yeah, we know from last episode that Spencer's up to something. Yeah. Yeah, we know. They don't. But Jerry suspects.
There's specifically a scene. Yeah, there's specifically a scene in this episode where he meets up with the journalist, and they talk about it. But it also turns out Ergun bought his house back when it went back over sale. And Rody tells him that Tao just now got released on bail, and Ergun's like, oh, I never even got arrested in the first place. But then he's kind of interested in it all. Like he's not doing the side eye, but just kind of like the like sunglasses lifted, like, okay, this is interesting. I need to pay attention to this because they just recently worked together. So Angela is also pissed because Tao hasn't contacted her after getting out, and is also just like fucking throwing pills down her throat, like fucking another.
Oh, Angela, no.
Okay, but think about all the things that she's just gone through at once.
Still.
She's in love with this dude. He abandons her and ends up in jail for some shady ass shit that she doesn't know what's going on with.
Mm-hmm.
She knows he got out and didn't contact her. Her mother may have just been exploiting her this whole time. She feels like nobody loves her. She feels like she has nothing authentic in her life and everything she knows is a lie. Of course she does this. Man. Of course. Of course. What did all
I wish
these
she
people
had been the one to meet
expect?
Flora, you know, the woman who had all those like Whitney Houston-esque problems with drugs.
She just needs someone genuine in her life to stick around.
She needs Tao in her life.
She's a strong
and Tao
person.
needs her.
We get to that. So she also ends up going back to Tao's office and is confronted by the AI is like gloating at her, like, we don't need you anymore. I'll replace you. I'm the perfect Angela. And Angela just like ends up like smashing the device that's like projecting her. And then it turns out Amir is still in prison and ends up like writing on the walls. He writes out a love song specifically for Carole. I mean, name and all. And like he asks the guards to like film it, and like 3 different guards film it with their cameras.
I can see this happening too. Like I can see these guards being like, "Hey, this guy's like a famous rapper. Let's do this."
Yeah, but then these guards lose their fucking job.
Is so romantic. Oh my god! I was like, damn.
Really, Kat?
Damn, Tuesday.
Tuesday, Carole.
Damn.
You mean Carole?
Oh yeah, sorry. Damn, Carole. And I was just like shocked. I was like, holy shit, lucky her.
Yeah, and then, oh wow, you want this to happen to you? You want your man to go to jail? And then write a love song for you?
I just know it's romantic as shit to have someone send you a love poem, like, from jail. I'm not saying I want someone like I care about in jail. I'm just saying it's fucking romantic, okay?
So, like, it goes viral, and then, like, Rhodey texts her, and he's like, oh, he wrote this song. And then, like, Carole and Tuesday watch it together, and Carole kind of gets some, tears in her eyes, and Tuesday's looking at her like, holy shit. So, Carole and Tuesday finally finished their last song on the album, and they invite everybody to a church to play it. They even have Tobe play the organ for them, and I mean, the song was okay.
I thought it was just okay, because like it's just a very simple song about like people being there for one another. I just felt like at this point in the show they probably could have done better with this song, especially with how much they built it up. But
yeah, I honestly think some of their best stuff was in the first half of the show.
Yeah,
like the second half, I've not been that impressed.
I agree. For the most part, I think like a lot of their strongest songs are in the first half, though I think some of the strongest songs in the show from other people are in the second half. But yeah,
I don't know, because Crystals and Skips from the first half was fucking phenomenal.
That's true. That was really good. Yeah, we'll have to have like a Carole and Tuesday song ranking at one point.
We do need that. This is really interesting because Toby actually compliments them on their song for once, and like everybody's like, "What the fuck?"
I was surprised.
And this is when Crystal shows up, and we find out the collab is with her. I am so looking forward to this.
So I predicted this as soon as Gus was like, "I'm gonna find a collab," because like he's kind of failed in the past, so I figured they'd surprise us. Yeah,
I kind of actually thought it might be that. The random guy that also got nominated for the Grammys.
Oh, that guy.
Because
but 2 people nominated, I don't see them collabing.
Because we never heard anything from him yet, so we don't know anything about him. So
I just don't see how you would, because it's your competition.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But really, them and Crystal together will be. I think that's the best
That's gonna
collab
be cool.
they could have done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So Angela continues to swallow down pills and hallucinates that her broken rabbit thing is telling her she was used by Dahlia this whole time and it isn't even her real mother.
It's going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, she's in a very dark
She's in the
place.
spiral.
Yeah,
She's in
a dark place. And then we finish with Tao using his AIs to potentially dig up dirt and get back at the ones that got him arrested. And he gets a text and he looks down and it's from Angela and it just says, "Help me."
Please help her, Tao.
He will, because he's been very unemotional this whole time. But the only time we really actually seen him show emotion and take action was to save her from the killer.
Yeah.
The
I think
stalker,
sometimes
I'm sorry.
she does get through to him, even though he acts like she doesn't. Yeah.
And I think he is starting to care, and like this is going to be the point where like he realizes himself that he does care. Maybe.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely want to see them have a happy end. I want to see Angela not die from drug overdose. That would suck.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, Angela. I know it's hard.
Maybe she jumps in when Carole and Tuesday and Crystal are singing, and it's like a triple collab, and it's all four of them singing together.
No, that's not
I don't know if
gonna
she can bounce back that fast. She popped a lot of pills. We'll see.
I mean, some of them are fast acting. Like,
Yeah, she needs one day to recover, and then the second day to kind of stretch it out, and the third day she's fine.
Yeah, it depends on what she's taken.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
It did not look like Tylenol.
And like there was a name on those drugs, but it wasn't one I recognized, and I didn't look it up, so I don't know. What
It's
it was.
probably not like a real. I don't know.
Yeah, probably something random. Made up name. They're like Zorandafil. Whatever the fuck. That's nothing.
Oh man, it's like whatever Mike Tyson used to be on. All right.
Well, then it would be Thorandafil.
On that note.
On that note, is that it, guys? Are you guys ready to go?
I'm ready. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, we love you. Thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube. To get updates on new podcasts or videos, you can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. Come hang out on our Discord with the link in the description. And with all that, we'll see everybody next time.